How do you see the role of speech and NLP evolve in the coming years?
Yeah, I think this is a very exciting time for speech and NLP research. And I think the kind of next frontier of AI is this what's called general intelligence. And since speech is so integral to human communication, I think there's no general intelligence that doesn't handle speech. So multimodality is kind of the next step towards this, where you're not treating modalities in isolation, but jointly model different modalities, and that's where the community is headed as well. So nowadays, you don't think of, earlier it used to be these different silos where people would work on speech alone, text alone. Now everyone works jointly in modalities, and I think that's the way forward.
As somebody who is working at the intersection of both speech and NLP, what advice would you give, ma'am, to ones who are trying to make an impact in this field?
Yeah, I think, standard things like work on your foundations and also get hands-on early. I mean, at the pace at which these fields are moving, it's very important to quickly get your hands dirty with coding, even if it's small things. Pick up small projects. There are lots of open source communities that you can be part of, and that will help you bootstrap quickly. The other thing is, being applied areas, I think it's useful to also, when you're picking research problems, pick research problems while being mindful of, whether it can be potentially impactful. So of course, look at whether these are interesting research problems and they're challenging, but also are you doing research with a purpose? Like eventually, could this be of some use? And I think one example is of when I moved to India, I was on the lookout for problems which are relevant to the Indian setting, which are also kind of interesting to think about. And that guided my choice of working on kind of accented speech, recognition for accented speech, and code switched inputs, which are all interesting problems computationally and also relevant to the Indian setting.
So, ma'am, what makes CFILT unique in its approach to speech and NLP research?
Yeah, so CFILT has been kind of at the forefront of NLP research decades back, when it was not a fad. And it was a very niche area, and I think that's largely due to the foresight of its founder, Prof. Pushpak Bhattacharyya. And CFILT has a focus, like the name suggests, on building Indian language technologies. And so it's to kind of bring the benefits of NLP technologies, state-of-the-art NLP technologies to all Indian languages and build resources for Indian languages and so on. And I think another thing which is unique to CFILT is this strong grounding to linguistics, and students are encouraged always to think about the linguistic underpinnings of various problems. And I think success of CFILT largely is attributed to excellent students that have come in over the last years, and I've also been fortunate to work with some of them.
So, according to you, ma'am, how has the landscape of NLP and speech research related to Indian context changed over the years?
Very positively. There was a time when there were very minimal number of benchmarks which revolved around Indian languages. But CFILT and other initiatives like AI for Bharat have all been instrumental in kind of building resources for Indian languages. And what's really interesting and fun about Indian languages, because it's so diverse, benchmarks always fall short because you're either not covering enough languages or you're not covering enough phenomena which are prevalent across languages. So there's room for more always. And I think we are steadily kind of building more and more benchmarks, and we as a community should kind of keep this momentum going.